The kettle kept whistling, mixing with the smell of the wood stove in Mark's small home at the edge of town. This wasn't just a house, these walls had witnessed years of endless effort, unfinished dreams, and great wishes. Their home was on the edge of the town, right next to his father John's carpentry workshop. With every breath, the smell of sawdust and wet wood filled the air. This combination was the identity of Mark's family, and every corner of the house told a story of a simple life filled with hard work and effort. Mark, the family's son, was only 15, but he had a big dream that gave him no rest. He was lying on his old, squeaky metal bed, staring at the wooden ceiling of his room. The stars shone like diamonds through the window, which let in a cool breeze from the distant mountains. In another corner of the room, Sophie, his younger sister, was lost in the colorful world of her drawings. Their mother, Sarah, wearing an old, faded shawl, which carried the weight of days of cleaning other people's houses, sat silently and calmly on a wooden kitchen chair. She was drinking her weak tea and had a beautiful knitted hat in her lap. Her gaze was fixed far away, maybe on her lost hopes or maybe on the small dreams she no longer had the energy to chase. The silence of the room was broken by Mark's deep sigh. He whispered, "I wish I could do something, make a change. So we don't have to live like this anymore." This whisper was not just a wish, but a deep pain that grew stronger with every look at his father's rough hands and his mother's tired shoulders. He wanted to stop this cycle of tiredness and lack. He was looking for a way to escape this financial hardship and tiring routine, not just for himself but for his family. The next morning, Mark was in his father's carpentry shop, moving wooden boards. The steady sound of his father sawing filled the air, and tiny specks of sawdust had settled on his clothes. John was a man with rough hands from years of working with wood and nails, and a hoarse but experienced voice. With a voice full of sadness, Mark asked, "Dad, how can I change our lives? How long do you and Mom have to work?" His father put his saw on the workshop table and looked directly into Mark's eyes with all his being. His forehead was full of lines, each a story of life and the passing of time. With deep calm and strong words that came from the depths of his experience, his father said, "My son, nothing in this world is free, nothing. The path is hard and full of failure and bitterness." Mark asked in despair, "So it's not possible?" His father continued, "It is. But you have to be strong. You have to fight, even when you have nothing. Start with what you have, no matter how small it is. The important thing is to take the right path." His father's words stuck in Mark's mind. These simple but deep words were John's entire life philosophy, and now it was passed on to his son. Mark began to think about how he could use his few belongings and his efforts and thoughts to find a way to make a change. That afternoon, Mark walked to the distant bakery in the city as usual, several kilometers away. He just wanted to buy a loaf of bread. But an idea came to his mind. He wasn't sure if it was a good idea or not. He hesitated. He stood in front of the bakery, watching the people in line. The warm, pleasant smell of fresh bread from the oven filled the air. A quiet, serious old man named Anderson was carefully taking the bread out of the oven. Anderson was an experienced man, a man of few words, but always precise and organized. Mark took a deep breath. His heart was pounding with excitement. He didn't know if his idea was right or wrong. He didn't know whether to say what he wanted or not. With a voice that trembled from excitement and fear, but was also firm, he went forward and said, "Mr. Anderson, can I say something?" Anderson looked at him with a sharp look and said, "Speak, boy. Is something wrong?" Mark hesitantly presented his idea, "If you let me, I can take your breads to the city square and sell them, and I'll bring your money back at the end of each night." Anderson raised his eyebrows. He looked at Mark's simple and perhaps shy appearance and asked with doubt, "Why should I trust you?" Mark replied with a strong and honest voice that came from deep inside him, "Because I promise. It's not just words, I really want to change our lives. I don't lie. Mr. Anderson, I don't have money, but I will never break my promise. Even if I don't make a big profit, I want to help myself and my family." The old man stared at him for a long moment. Maybe in Mark's hopeful eyes, he saw a reflection of his own youth, a passion he once had to build a better future. Finally, he said slowly and with a tone that didn't hide his satisfaction, "1 week. Just 1 week. Come early tomorrow morning." From that day on, Mark's life entered a new phase. Every morning at 4 before sunrise Mark woke up. He put on his old shoes and went to the bakery. He carried 2 boxes of hot bread with great effort. Every day he walked the dark path from his home to the bakery and then to the small town square. The first day, like any beginning, was full of doubt and difficulty. People didn't take him seriously yet. Some walked past him with indifference and some even smirked. But Mark had no doubt and continued with passion. He remembered his father's words, "You have to be strong. You have to fight." He continued with a hopeful smile. "Hot bread, fresh bread, you don't need to go to the bakery anymore." Many people looked at him and passed by. A kind old woman stopped and took one of the breads. Mark smiled and greeted her politely. "Ma'am, I hope you enjoy this bread." The old woman smiled, "My son, you are a good seller. Your smile is sweeter than your bread." This simple sentence was like water on the fire of Mark's tiredness and despair. That day, all the bread was sold. Mark, very tired but with a heart full of hope, returned Anderson's share. The old man, with an admiring look, smiled faintly and just said, "Come tomorrow too." These words were a door to a new world for Mark. Days turned into weeks, and then into months. Mark gradually became known among the people of the area. But people knew him not only for his fresh and tasty breads, but also for his unique qualities. He was polite, clean, and most importantly, he cared for his customers. He had a small notebook where he wrote down the names of the breads, the tastes of his customers, and even special orders. He even wrote down suggestions from customers, like traditional sweets or sesame bread, to add to his sales list in the future. He would ask, "What kind of bread do you like?" or "What flavor makes you happy?" He paid attention to details, even to which customer liked crispy bread and which liked soft bread. This attention made customers feel seen and heard, and this built their trust and loyalty. It was during this time that he saw Elisa, his old classmate, again. A smart, lively, honest, and energetic girl. Elisa, who had a different view of business because of her education and great intelligence, was quickly drawn to Mark's hard work and sincerity. Her presence in Mark's life was like a fresh breeze. Elisa gradually gave him suggestions to improve his work, from packaging the bread to simple ideas for advertising with handwritten signs and even painting Mark's old cart. With Elisa's help, Mark's rusty cart was changed. They painted it with bright, energetic colors. They put simple but attractive stickers on it and wrote beautiful sentences. This cart was no longer just a tool for carrying bread, but a symbol of Mark's hope and effort. Mark also, with Elisa's help, gradually learned that traditional customer service was not enough and he had to learn new marketing and sales methods. He spent his small savings on buying a new cart that was cleaner, more beautiful, and bigger. Everything was moving forward, and Mark was tasting the sweet flavor of small successes. Until Eric came. Eric, the son of one of the city's businessmen, had a modern and luxurious bakery opened for him by his father in the city center. His shop, with its stylish wooden decor, warm yellow lights that created a cozy space, free coffee for customers, various breads, and fancy, colorful pastries, quickly attracted everyone's attention. People were fascinated by the attractive appearance of Eric's shop, his new products, and his extensive advertising. Mark's sales suddenly dropped a lot. Some of his old customers, who had been buying from him with a smile just yesterday, now walked past him with indifference and went to Eric's bakery. Mark became discouraged and felt that his efforts had been for nothing. He said in despair, "My work is over, no one buys from me anymore." He even became sad and withdrawn for a while. But Elisa, with her usual determination, gave Mark hope. "No, Mark. You just have to fight. Your path is different from Eric's. You have to continue. There's a rival in every job. She encouraged Mark to study advertising, marketing, and improving the quality of his work. Elisa herself started working. She tried different marketing tricks and even gave free samples to customers so they could taste the different flavors of Mark's breads. Mark, inspired by Elisa's words, began to study. He stayed up late at night researching the principles of small business marketing, using special packaging, and even selling new products. He tried to change his advertising method. He printed simple business cards. Most importantly, he asked his customers every day what was missing and what they expected. Before we go on, have you ever been in a moment like this? Let me know in the comments, and if this feels real to you, a like or subscribe would mean a lot. He added new pastries to his products that went well with his breads and even offered small discounts to attract customers. Gradually, Mark's old customers returned. Some even left Eric's stylish shop and became loyal customers of Mark again. In this tough competition, Mark learned a big lesson. Competition, if managed correctly, is not destructive but brings growth, change, and creativity, and pushes him towards innovation and becoming better. He understood that every success requires learning, updating, and constant change. One day, one of Mark's old customers said to him, "Mark, why don't you bake the bread yourself? If you baked the bread yourself, you'd make more profit. Can't you handle it?" This sentence, although hurtful, became a trigger and a spark for a new idea for Mark. Why hadn't he thought of it before? He thought about this for a few days and finally decided to learn how to bake bread himself, although he knew it would be a hard and time-consuming task. Again, with a heart full of doubt but a strong will, he went to Mr. Anderson. He asked, "I want to learn how to bake bread. If you can teach me." The old man looked at Mark with a sharp gaze for a moment and smiled faintly. He was hesitant at first, but he remembered the promise Mark had made to him and accepted. "If you promise not to quit halfway, I promise to teach you everything." From the very next day, Mark started. He sold bread from morning until noon, and from noon until evening, he was trained at the bakery. Weeks and months passed. Mark every day stood for hours next to the hot oven and under Anderson's supervision, worked with dough and flour. He ruined the dough many times, his breads either stayed raw or became dry and hard. He would return home at night in despair, but in the mornings, he would continue with hope. He learned how to knead the dough, the oven temperature, and the exact baking time. In this process, Mark learned a deeper lesson than just baking bread. He understood that life is like that dough. If he stopped kneading halfway, he would never get good bread. This period of his life made him tougher and more patient. When he baked his own bread for the first time and people praised its pleasant smell and unique taste, he felt like he had conquered the world. After mastering the skill of baking bread, Mark, with the help and support of Elisa, Sarah, his mother, and Sophie, his sister, decided to open a small bakery. This difficult project was no longer just Mark's work, but a family project. His mother, who now felt a strange excitement, took on the responsibility of selling and packaging the breads. Sophie, Mark's younger sister, gained more confidence after seeing her brother's efforts and even helped with simpler tasks like cleaning the shop and helping with sales. Every night, despite being extremely tired, Mark had dinner with his family and they talked about dreams of expanding the business and one day having their own brand. Customers now lined up not only for the bread, but also for the fresh products, clean packaging, Mark and his family's constant smiles and honesty. The name of their small shop quickly spread in the area. Months everything was good, the sweet taste of success grew every day. Until one stormy and rainy night, while Mark was cleaning the shop, the electricity suddenly went out. He rushed to the fuse box. The sound of a spark, small flames, and then thick smoke filled the shop. The fire spread quickly. Mark, with horror, tried to control the fire, but it was useless. The next morning, the shop was half burned and destroyed. Everything was gone, the efforts, the money, and the dreams that had just come to life. The townspeople who had gathered to see the scene of the fire said with worry, "Everything is burned, Mark can't work anymore." They thought that this was the end of Mark's road. Mark stared at the ruins of the shop. The smell of smoke was still in the air. For a moment in the darkness of the night, with the burned shop behind him, he thought that maybe it really was over. But the voice of his father echoed in his mind, "You have to fight, even when you have nothing." He blinked for a moment, as if with that sentence something inside him had awakened. He took a deep breath. With a firm determination, he stepped, not back, but towards the future. Mark, with all the fatigue and pain he had in his heart, stood with a firm determination in front of the half-burned shop. With a powerful voice he said, "No. This is just an event. The biggest growths always happen after the hardest days. We start again, with the same limited resources." Without delay, they turned their small house into a temporary bakery. He collected the less damaged tools and with the help of his mother, sister, and Elisa, he began to bake bread again. Nights for work, days for sales. The fatigue was great, but the hope for the future kept them on their feet. It was very difficult, but they showed that they are invincible in the face of difficulties. A few months later, Mark was able to reopen a more beautiful and better equipped shop. This time he offered fresher products, new pastries, and better services than before. He had not started from scratch, this time he had started from his experiences. So this time he grew stronger and faster. The name of his shop was quickly known in the area and became a popular place for people. Mark, after 2 years with smart management and savings, was able to open the second branch in a more crowded neighborhood. This was just the beginning of the work. Gradually, he established the third and fourth branches in the city. He took marketing and management courses to develop his work and learned new skills. He hired new apprentices and taught them how to bake bread and pastries, honesty, respect for customers, teamwork, persistence, and discipline. Sometimes he faced failure and had to try other methods, but he never gave up trying and innovating. Mark understood well that, nothing in life is free, but with effort you can make the impossible possible. Years later, Sophie, Mark's sister, had grown older and with hard work, she took on the management of one of the branches. His mother, Sarah, although she had retired, was still the support of the family and helped in the management and sales of the stores. Elisa, who had been with Mark from the beginning, was now not only his life partner but also his business partner and confidant in all innovative ideas, packaging and brand development. His father, who had sparked the first spark in his mind, was now retired and only went to the carpentry shop for fun. Mark went between the branches every day, treated his employees like friends and listened to them. He was a role model for many young people in the city. He often gave speeches to young people and students in local schools and told his life story to teach them how to build everything from nothing, and that with persistence, discipline, and consistency, any goal can be reached. He even allocated a part of the income from his work to education and helping the needy. These works were a reflection of the same kindness and understanding that he had once received from his customers. A few years later, Mark's name was known not only in his city, but also in the surrounding cities. He established the first chain of bakeries and pastry shops with a unique identity. Healthy products, fair prices, respect for customer tastes, these were the secrets of Mark's success. Customers no longer just bought bread, but they received the experience and trust that was expected from Mark's name and his brand. In the opening ceremony of his 10th branch of the chain bakery and pastry shop, Mark went on the stage. The crowd was cheering him on. He recalled the memories of the past and the difficult days he had gone through. By seeing his name on the signs of the chain stores, he was reminded of the bitter and hard days, the taste of repeated failures, nightly fatigues, and the humiliation of competitors. But he had understood that the only thing that guaranteed his success was that he never went for a shortcut and ready-made ways. He always moved forward with honesty and effort. In his final speech, Mark, with a voice full of emotion, said to the crowd, "Nothing in this world is free. Not respect, not love, not trust, and not even opportunity. Everything you have gained has had a price, and more importantly, there is no shortcut to success, and the best way is always the longest way. But if you are willing to pay its real price with honesty and effort, if you fight with hope to reach it, and you never fear difficulties, you will see that it is worth all this effort. The crowd cheered him with long and standing applauses. Mark's life story became an inspiration for hundreds of other young people to choose the right path, even if it is full of effort and difficult. He taught them that nothing is free, but anything is possible. Inspiring lessons from Mark's story: every dream has a price, no success is achieved without effort, sacrifice, and paying its real price. But if you pay its price with honesty and hard work, you will make the world yours. Failure is just a bridge to a bigger victory. Every time you fall, you learn a new lesson. Failures are not the end of the road, but opportunities for growth and deeper transformation. Respect and trust of people are the fruit of continuous effort. These are like fresh bread, tangible and life-giving. With sincerity, honesty, and listening to the heart of people, these lasting treasures can be obtained. If this story inspired you, like the video and subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, what does "nothing is free" mean to you?